Okay, on this particular Coleman cooler, it's pretty easy to get this fitting out. As Sam pointed out, you just turn this outside fitting counterclockwise, and it comes out. Slip it out of the hole. Voila, the fitting is out. Now you have a nice hole here to put your valve in. So we'll get the valve fittings together and we'll show you the next phase coming up. Okay, we're back. I want to show you what we've done. We showed you that we finished the manifold, and now we've got all our fittings. When we took the drain plug out of the Coleman cooler, we reserved a rubber washer that was on the inside. So this rubber washer was on the inside, and we're going to show you the sequence and things that you need to purchase to put the bulkhead fitting into this cooler. So if you come over here and look, we're going to start with a barbed adapter. This is what we'll stick the hose in at the end of that. It's going to have a reducer down from 1/2 inch to 3/8. We've got a 1/2 inch ball valve, need a 3/4 inch washer. This is the rubber gasket that came inside of the cooler. We've got another for the outside. We went ahead and got a O-ring, rubber O-ring, 3/4 inch O-ring, another 3/4 inch brass washer, 1.5 inch brass nipple, a pipe hex bushing. This is a 1/2 MIP by 3/8 inch FIP, and then we got a compression fitting, which is a 3/8 inch compression by 3/8 inch MIP with insert. And this actually is where we're going to insert into the 3/8 inch copper tubing. We're going to cut this back the exact distance we need to center this in the lengthwise in the cooler. So we're going to go ahead and start assembling this and putting this thing together, and we're going to show you how it turns out here when we get through. Okay, we're back. We've completed the manifold, and now we've showed you all the fittings, and I'm going to show you how to put these things together. We're going to take the barb and we're going to screw it into the reducer, and then we're going to take the reducer and we're going to screw it into the valve. Okay. Now these you do not have to have any Teflon tape because they're brass fittings, and they'll give you an airtight or a watertight seal. Because the brass is soft and it contours to that. So get these nice and snug. You want to put them in a vise and tighten them up. And this one we have a washer, and we have a O-ring. Got an extra one here, and that screws in. Get it lined up. Careful not to cut those O-ring on the thread. You want to hand tighten that up. Now what we're going to do is, this is the washer that came with the cooler. We're going to stick this on here and use that as the internal washer. And we're going to actually put a washer on it, and then we're going to screw this fitting. Now we can't show you this because we're going to be inside that cooler. After that, we're going to put the compression fitting in, tighten it up, and then what you do is you take the compression fitting off. I'm going to simulate what we're doing here, and you put this compression fitting over the end of the manifold, and then you're going to tighten it back into that. But you're going to have to cut this for the right length to center it lengthwise in your cooler. So there's two parts to a compression fitting that you have to use. There's a compression fitting right here that slides on. So we're going to straighten this out. We're going to put that on there, and we're going to tighten it up to here. Okay? So we're going to come back in a second after we've inserted this and put it all in there. Okay, now we've got the assembly here. It's all fitted and ready to go. We'll stick it into the hole in the Coleman fitting. You see that? It's all nice and lined up. Now what we have to do is take our washer and stick that over the threads. Now be careful and don't cut it on those threads. It's a little bit tricky, but you should be real patient. You can get it, and it's critical that this fits right into that hole, because that's what makes this thing all watertight. So if it gets a little dirty, that's okay. This is what you need to center that in the hole and get it working nice. So there we got it centered in the hole. And we're going to take, put a washer on that. Okay, and then we're going to put the fitting. Let me finish tightening up this fitting and we'll be right back. Okay, off camera we were inserting this and we determined we need 2 of these large washers on the outside. So we got 2 washers on the outside, and then we've got our rubber O-ring. So we're going to take that and we're going to insert it in there. The other thing that we determined was on the inside, the hole is real close to the bottom, so you have to take your washer and you have to cut the bottom of this washer out. So we cut the bottom of this washer out, and we also enlarged it with a drill bit, a step drill. So I think what you're going to need, instead of a 3/4, you may need a 13/16 washer, but you definitely need to cut it down like that. So everyone got that. And now we're going to insert this from the outside. This is our valve assembly. We're going to take the washer that came from the inside of the Coleman cooler, and we're going to gently thread that on there and push it in the hole, because that fits exactly in the hole that was pre-made in this Coleman cooler. So we want to get that lined up in there. It's real important to make a proper seal. So let's get that seated in there good. Slowly work it in around there to give us a nice watertight seal for this Mash Tun. Now we have a second O-ring that we're going to put on the threads. Then we're going to put our washer on that to tighten it up. And the last is our hex fitting here that has the compression fitting on it. I'm going to tighten that all up nice here to give us a good seal. And then we're going to put the manifold inside here. We're going to trim that down and put it into the compression fitting. We're going to come back and show you how it all looks when we're done. Again, this is Keith Brown. We're showing you how to do a Mash Tun square cooler, Coleman cooler, 10 gallon. Okay, one thing about the manifold, you need to make some little slits in the bottom of the manifold. And this is what keeps the grain in the cooler when you're sponging. So what I've done is I've taken a Dremel tool with a small blade and I've cut little slits in the bottom of the manifold, which is going to be up against the bottom of the cooler about every 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. And I've also put one in each corner. I've got one more in the corner to go, so I'm going to show you how we do that, and then we're going to finish installing this. Okay, once you do that, the last thing is we're going to install this in the cooler with the compression fitting, and then we're going to have a grade A #1 Mash Tun. Alright, what you do is you take the end of the compression fitting. After you've trimmed this to the proper length, you can do that by sitting in there and adjusting it. We did that off camera. You slide that compression fitting over the end of this, and then you sit it down inside the bottom of your cooler, slide it into the hole, and then we're going to tighten this fitting up. Doesn't have to be tight, because if you get a little leakage around these fittings, it doesn't matter. We're trying to filter this thing in. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten these off camera. And this is how to make a 10-gallon Mash Tun The most important thing that we did not tell you at the first of this video is you should be drinking beer when you're making beer equipment. So always keep a cold home brew next to you when you're doing your work. Bye now.